Right, welcome to Nathaneal Podcast. Today we have a returning guest, a good friend of mine, a great mentor of mine as well, and one of the most authentic creators I would say that I've ever met, Jack Moses. Welcome, man.
Thank you. I really appreciate that compliment around the authenticity. That's really cool that you see that, and I'm excited to be back.
Awesome, man. Yeah. I think that you are one of the most authentic person because you don't try to like a lot of people when they're building a personal brand, they want to build an image of themselves where they want to be they want it to be catered, like they want to look a certain way, and so they hide certain things from other people. But when I see your brand, it's really full of truthfulness. You don't hide anything. So, you're okay with being like a guy who is a writer, but is also into spirituality, also like doing retreats, but you also do football. And yeah, man, it's just crazy, like, because you don't have a label as per se. So
Thank you.
so I'm curious though, like, has there ever been a moment where you think you get confused on who you are, given that you do have a lot of identities?
Mm, Good question. I think there's been times where there are so many different aspects of me. The question becomes, what should I focus on the most in this season right now? And it's not necessarily a matter of like, am I losing myself in these different things? But it's like, what is the most valuable thing to put my attention into?
Mm.
Because for example, right now, I just moved back to America. I'm gonna go play a college football season in about a month. And that being at the forefront of my mind kind of minimizes, in a way, my interest in, let's say, psychedelics. Like there was a season for that. There was a season for all the plant medicines. This is not the season. So it feels like what has happened over the past few years is I've explored and experimented and gone into so many different domains and realms that now I'm learning how to pick and choose what I've learned and the insights I've gained for whatever season I'm heading into.
So you still have like one top priority that's on the top of your head, and you focus on that, and everything else fall into place, something like that.
I think so. I think the number one priority is being the highest version of myself, and I think everything funnels down from there. Now, in terms of business, the transcendent universe is at the top of my mind, and everything else is under that. So there's a net of containers you could almost think of called the transcendent universe, which I feel I have been building up to over the past few years, and now it's finally clicked together into place, and all the different containers are built. So now it's just going to be a matter of, over the next few decades, really generating the traffic and the authority and the value in those containers for people to come into those containers and get whatever they want. So there's a container for introduction creators, like how do you make money as a freelancer? How do you start creating online? Similar to like a cohort, but it's a community. Then there's like, as you ascend up the tiers, it's much more internal, spiritual, esoteric, energetic type of knowledge. And then there's also containers for in person retreats. And there's also ideally going to be containers for in person community living and different things like this. So that is kind of my North Star. It's that whole universe. And then it's like, okay, where, like, I just have to build it brick by brick, one thing at a time, because it's quite a big vision. And yeah, I feel like I'm at the early stages of it for sure.
Okay, it's very interesting. How do you kind of like determine, how do you discern what container you should focus on at a specific moment? Do you have like, do
Mm.
you schedules, or do you just go with the flow?
I think there's some practicality with it in terms of it's not yet time for me to focus on building a retreat center because maybe it's a limiting belief, right? Like an investor could come and give me $1 million at any moment. But because I don't have that type of capital available to me at this moment, I focus more on what's going to generate capital, what's going to generate cash flow, and what assets do I already have built out. So I've had this curriculum built out for the past few years that I've run cohorts with called this Internet Freedom Curriculum. And where my mind has gone is how can I repackage that, reshape it into something that's more evergreen? Because what I've started to realize with cohorts, and I'm still probably going to run cohorts, but with cohorts, it's like you have to ramp up so much energy, like leading up to the cohort launch, and it's so much energy, it's so much time. And we talked about burnout a little bit before the call. It's very easy recipe to fall into burnout and using external substances just to cope. Like, fuck, I need to get all this done today. Let me just use nicotine or whatever it is. It's much easier to fall into that with consistent launches. So, where my mind began to go is how can I create containers that are more evergreen? So, a low ticket community for beginners, which the curriculum has already been built for a long time. So, that becomes the first priority. And that's pretty much there and ready. There's just some more things to clean up, and it's about ready. And then there will be a higher tier called Transcendence, which is going to take longer to be built just because there's more moving pieces. But I think to try to answer your question in essence, it's like what's most practical right now? What assets do I already have built out? And also, like, what's giving me the most energy? That's usually a good
Mm,
indicator of where to follow too. And that actually is what has moved me away completely from ghostwriting, completely into creating my own things, is
mm,
what is giving me energy and what's not. And for the longest time, I was like, I'll just do the ghostwriting, like just to make the cash flow or whatever.
yeah,
But I was like, it's not giving me the energy. So let me switch my focus here and have faith that if I put all my energy here, it will work as long as I adhere to that commitment.
yeah. I love that. One thing that I touched upon earlier when we were talking off the recording was that you rebuild things for yourself basically. In your recent YouTube video, you mentioned that like the Transcendence Spirit, which is your new cohort, or I would say like basically offer your new offer that you're launching. You were transparent there, and you said that you're building this because you will enter a season soon and you want to prepare for that. What I really admire that is that you don't try to look at market needs and build something. What you do is you build something you need for yourself and you build it based on what you believe you need and you execute on it unapologetically. Like, has that always been your mindset when you're building products?
I think it's gravitated more towards that over time, but still myself, I'm still part of the market, and I think I have a pretty good pulse on what does a market want because I'm very immersed in it myself. And so I think about some of these things that I'm creating now. Let's say like a transcendence retreat. It's
Mm,
like I I want to go travel. I want to be around other open-minded people who are interested in growth. I want to go on an adventure. I want to expand and find new parts of myself. Like, who's creating it? Okay, nobody that I really know. There are a few retreats that I've gone to that have been great, but like, let me just create the exact experience that I want to have. And it's the same thing with the online communities. It's like, what would I have needed as a beginner? I would need this introduction community. What would I maybe want as a higher level player that wants to take their internal world and perspective on reality to the next level? Let me make this higher ticket container. But in the beginning, I mean, dude, in the beginning, if I think like back to ghostwriting offer was probably my first offer. Like I was just going based on like what was everybody else saying to do. They're like, yeah,
right.
like you could just write 3 threads a week and charge $2,000 a month. And like I just did that and it worked. And I think back then, 3 years ago, like it was much less saturated of a market. And it
Mm,
was easier to, if you could write and you could grow an account, like other people wanted that, boom, you can just sell them an offer. And I think it's the same to some extent, but I think that market is becoming more sophisticated because there's more players.
gotcha.
Do you feel that? Do you feel that yourself? Because you're quite immersed in the game, in the market yourself, and I'm sure talking to a lot of creators and scaling your own business, like, do you feel that there is higher level of sophistication necessary for beginners to be able to make a full-time living, let's say?
Yeah, definitely. Especially now that AI has been so powerful, like, and I don't think it's even reached its full potential. Like, a lot of people, even like the people I pitched to for ghostwriting, it's so easy for them to just say, "Oh, I'm just gonna record myself and put it on AI," which makes sense. Like it does make sense what they say. So you need to like be higher level than what it was before. That's how I see it.
When a potential client says that, what's your counter? Why should they work with you versus just use AI?
So the way I try to handle that is I just don't write posts. So technically, I'm no longer just a ghostwriter. I brand myself as a ghostwriter because it's easier to like understand what a ghostwriter is. But what I've been doing with my clients is I basically a growth partner where I help them grow their account, social media. I help them with their like build the lead magnets, build the offer with them, and then handle the community. Like basically fill out all the help them build a creator business. That's what I'm trying to do. And so
Mhm.
it's evolved into a place where I don't just write posts, I'm bringing revenue, basically. That's how I do it.
That's incredible. Yeah. I think that's amazing how you've evolved too,
Yeah,
because that's the thing I don't think a lot of people understand when they start off in the game. They're like, if I'm just a writer, then I can make money. It's like, yeah, maybe, but the more skills you add into your stack, if you can build a community for somebody, if you can build a funnel for somebody, if you can do their marketing, if you can help with strategy, like you versus the other dude who can just write Twitter threads, very different in terms of value.
100%, 100%. Yeah, I think that like right now it is very hard because the creator market is becoming more saturated. I'd say like it's so hard to try to stand out, especially like with all the noise. I'm curious like how you handle that yourself. Do you have like a strategy in mind with on how you like try to get more attention or try to get more customers going your way?
It's quite interesting. What has strangely worked for me is that when I'm just really authentic, the right people gravitate to me. Now, there's an element of knowing how to play a game in terms of running a marketing strategy or knowing how to write a hook that can go viral.
Mm,
But the examples that I'll give that is where my brand looks like it's going to more and more is I put out last year I put out like I think it was 5 really long newsletters based on my Thailand travel experiences last summer, talking about really crazy shit, basically, like my crazy experiences.
yeah.
Then I went to Hawaii in December and I recorded 12 videos of me just sitting in front of the camera talking for an hour to 2 hours each.
Mm,
And while those videos, some of them only got 100 views, let's say, and the newsletters, like I didn't hear back really much at all from writing those newsletters. Something was moving me to just say, like, I'm supposed to do this. I'm
mm,
supposed to create these things and the right people will see them. And then it happens strangely that down the line, I run this retreat in Thailand, which just happened about 2 weeks ago. And the people that came to that retreat, one of them read all those newsletters and was very inspired by it. Another person watched all those videos, like all 12 of those videos. And it's like, because it's an interesting thing to think about because the frequency of those creations was so authentic and so intrinsic, and the frequency of creating the retreat was the same. It's like, this is what I want, this is what I want to create, and it'll
mm.
attract that same person. Now, right now, there might not be a lot of people that are in my ecosystem that are aware of what I'm doing, but I trust that if we continue to create for years and years and years, it's like that thousand true fans idea from Kevin Kelly. Like the right people will find you and gravitate to you so long as you keep putting out your authentic message.
Love
And
that, man.
also, maybe more strategy wise, recently, I think I'm going to start going harder on Instagram. Like that seems like
Yeah,
the place to be hanging out.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I'm also actually like starting to focus there more as well. I'm still on X because I like the fact that I could just write something and then post it. Because with
Hmm.
Instagram, it's a bit more, you can wing it, but it's a bit more complicated. But anyways,
Hmm.
it just reminded me of what Naval says: escape competition through authenticity. It's like the more
Hmm.
true you are to yourself, the better the products you will build. Yeah.
Hmm. Most definitely.
Um, Another thing that I was curious about, like what got you into football? I, I always wanted to ask you that because it's a bit like you're a writer and then you're doing spiritual retreats and all that, but then it's like out of nowhere it's like, whoa, football. What happened there?
Yeah, I mean, it's not my intention to like escape competition through authenticity by playing football. But Naval has that quote on the Rogan podcast. He's like, you go to a circus and there's like a bear and that's kind of interesting, and then there's a unicycle and that's kind of interesting. Then there's a bear on a unicycle and that's really interesting. And I think it's kind of the same thing with me playing football. It's like my teammates don't know the extent of how into all this crazy stuff I am, and the people on the internet don't know the extent of how into football I am. So it's really
Yeah.
interesting, and I think it could be cool to try to merge these two sides of myself or aspects of my life more.
Mm.
But I mean, football, I played football since I was 3 years old. Like it's been a big part of my life. It was a huge part of my identity. And yeah, I had a pretty intense reflective period last year in October. And in these 10 days of basically solitude, I came to this internal decision. Actually, it was based on looking at my life trajectory in a much broader, longer time frame than ever before of like, wow, I'm going to be pursuing my purpose in terms of business and writing and creations and all this stuff for the next 50 plus years. It's okay if I go back to college and play football for 1 year. Like I'm not like losing any time. It's like it's not like it's in a rush, and it actually would be really fun, and there's probably lessons for me there, and who knows, it might be more part of my path than I originally imagined.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I went back and I started in January, and then like it's a big part of my day even today. Like right after this podcast, I'm going to train with a trainer, and then in the afternoon I'm going to throw with some of my teammates. So it's an interesting dance of how do I have that side of me and all the online creation, purpose, more purpose oriented type of things. But yeah, if I zoom out, I don't have to be in such a rush. That's what I always come back to, because sometimes I can get like worked up of like, fuck, I have so much to do. Like, is this really serving me? And every time I do this imagination exercise. Anybody could do it. You imagine yourself 10 years from now, 20 years from now, sitting next to you, talking to you, and you imagine what they would tell you in the moment. You can ask them a question, you'll get an answer from your higher self. And what I always get is like, dude, like chill out, like have some fun, like it's okay. Like you're doing all the right things. Just go fully play, like it's okay.
Yeah. Have you ever found any aspects of like maybe training or football in general, like the way you prepare, the way you play, the post game? Have you found aspects of it that has helped you with your own business, like content creation, writing, offer creation, all that?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of parallels. Like the ability to lead a retreat and the ability to lead a football team are very similar.
Interesting.
Like to be able to stand up and use your voice and tell people what you think and tell people where we're going and what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. It's the same energy. And I think it's another reason why I came back to play is
Mm.
because I always had a hesitancy being like a vocal leader or like really stepping into a leadership role. And I know that it's the same thing that plays out in retreats of like, okay, not always, but there is a time and place for stepping up into a leadership role and be like, this is what we're doing, this is what time we're doing it, like that type of energy. And it's the same in both containers.
Leadership. I just remember what you said in the YouTube video. You said you have an accountability group, and if you don't engage in 3 days, you're out. It's like that's a bit tough, but I mean it's tough love, man.
Exactly. I mean, honestly, that wasn't even my idea. That was Will's idea, who's helping build Transcendence and run this cohort. But we're trying to make it like an intense personal development sprint. It's like if you're not serious, like don't join. Like this is for those who really want to take everything in their life to the next level, and we're here to hold you accountable. Now, if you
Yeah.
actually don't respond for 3 days, are we gonna kick you? I don't know. Will needs to maybe chill out, but it is kind of funny.
Yeah, but is that the same type of energy that you were talking about with like the retreats and with the like a certain kind of sternness, like if you don't do this, well, there's consequences.
Yeah, or even just like trying to pick somebody up. Like in a football team, you're gonna have people that sometimes are lower energy, lower vibration, or like they're in a bad mood, or they're pouting, or they're complaining. Same thing in a retreat, like somebody starts going through their own internal process, like some trigger came up. It's like it's the same energy to go to them with love and be like, yo, like let's go. Like let's
Mm,
get back into the flow of things, however that might look. But it's quite similar in terms of the energy behind it.
energy. Do you ever feel a sense of like, have you ever felt that type as well, where you're like the down person and like the person who's down, and do you pick yourself up or do you look for others? How do you handle that?
I do have fallen into many ruts in my life. I would say energetic ruts. It's interesting, I don't tend to fall into them around other people as much. It's more like when I'm by myself too much and I'm overthinking everything. That's usually when it happens. But if I'm in a group of people, it's just in my nature. I'm like wired to be like the high energy one, the playful
Oh,
one.
really?
So that's an interesting reflection. But yeah, I think when I do get into a rut, if it happens, it's all about awareness. It's like, what have I forgotten in terms of who do I want to become? Like I've lost some
Mm,
sight of the vision I have for my life. And how can I reconnect to it? And I find that usually reconnecting to it happens for me through my curiosity. If I can find something new to be curious about, like honestly, any insight that comes up, understanding myself deeper, if I can just go have a conversation with ChatGPT about something like esoteric, like human design, astrology, numerology, something interesting. Curiosity is what seems to be my key to get out of any low energy period. Because I think what happens when we're curious, we're expanding.
yeah,
And when we're not curious,
we're contracting.
I would put it, yeah, we're contracting. It's like you're either expanding or you're contracting in life at
Yeah, yeah,
every single moment. And whenever we're contracting, that is the rut. That's the low energy period. That's the
yeah,
burnout. But if we're expanding at all moments, and to expand in your whole life, like you have to be expanding
yeah.
in different dimensions of your life too. Friends, relationships, fitness, spirituality,
Mm.
curiosity, business. It's like it's all there. So I think that's the key. It's like, what can you find to be curious about and reconnect to inspiration to become more than you are?
Yeah, yeah. It reminds me of a quote somehow, like one of the Stoics, I forgot who it was, but he was like, he talked about how basically people who are dying, like, rigor mortis, like they become stiff. And so they contract,
Hmm.
like they're just stiff. But life comes from people who are flexible, who are able to like basically, because your growth, so you're able to like expand and be flexible with things. So yeah, man, like it's a very good insight.
That's a great quote. I remember reading that quote, and it makes so much sense.
Yeah. So it's like when you're just like narrowing down thinking things. So what I actually like to do when I'm also in that rut, like try to stop thinking too much and just like observe things and like just breathe air. Like literally just enjoy my life, man. Because I don't know. It's like, like sometimes you don't have to take yourself seriously. I remember even Naval said that, like you're just a monkey with a better brain or something. I forgot. Something
He
like
said,
that.
"Yeah, you're just a monkey with a plan." And I
Yeah,
love that
yeah.
quote. It's so funny.
Yeah, 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 for sure. I had a question, like the high energy thing. I'm curious, what's your MBTI, man?
I used to identify or get the answer of INFJ for many years, and now it's ENFP. It
Damn!
changed.
Wow, like the
Yeah.
three things changed.
No, two things, just the E
Sorry.
and then the P.
Right, sorry. Yeah, yeah, my
First and
bad, my bad.
last.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's
Interesting.
interesting, and I so I originally got into MBTI, and I'm curious yours as well. But real quick, I got into MBTI in like the Dan Co era 3 years ago when
Yeah.
I started off in this game. And then I was like, yeah, I'm an INFJ, that's who I am. And then I went through this crazy journey over the past few years, and I honestly look to astrology and human design and numerology much more than the MBTI, but I was back in a psychology class in college and we were
Yeah.
taking the test and I got ENFP and I thought that was so interesting. And I think it's more accurate of who I've become. And my professor was like, it can't change over time, it's fixed. And I'm like, there's no way that the personality and the psyche and the mind are fixed. Like, of course, it's going to evolve over your life. So, yeah, ENFP. How about you?
So I'm before when I was a kid, I was INTP, but now I'm INTJ. So I think it's like, I've been more conscientious. But the reason why I asked you that is because when you said like I am similar with the like for example, when we have this podcast, like I'm very smiley and I'm very like high energy. But dude, when I'm
Hmm.
alone, like I am like serious. Like my fiance jokes about it. Like I look like those flat-faced cats. The flat-faced cats look like they're always angry, and I look like that when I'm
Uh-huh.
just not talking to people. But when I'm like in every podcast that I've ever had, everyone, it's like someone even told me like you laugh too much, and I'm like, it's fun, man. Like having conversation
No,
with
you
someone.
don't laugh too much.
Having-
Yeah, it's more fun.
the conversation I'm having is fun, and so like I laugh, man. Like, yeah. But anyways, the reason why I asked that is because I was curious, like if you were an introvert or an extrovert. But it seems
Mm.
that you shifted that.
It's interesting, dude. Like when I'm in solitude, I'm a more serious demeanor. And I feel like every man in solitude is a little bit more serious. Like, because when you're in solitude, you're really on your mission. You're really focused, typically, if you're aligned with your mission. And so it's the same for me. But then when you get into a conversation with another guy, it's like, I mean, this podcast is more fun and play than anything serious to me.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I do find if I'm doing something that's really creative and fun and I'm alone, I do feel like it's more playful.
yeah.
But yeah, I feel like I can swing between introvert and extrovert. Like I like being alone,
Mm,
but I really like talking to people too.
yeah, man. Like ever since I met you, I've been into like playing music, like playing EDM while working, and so like I also bought like the like a standing table. So at random times you would just see me like writing a newsletter or something, and I would just be dancing in my room.
Yes, that's the way. That's the way. Why would we choose to live life any other way?
100%, dude. And that's are you still like doing the DJ stuff? Because I remember you had a time where you were writing a newsletter about that, like you were studying the things.
I have a deck and it is something that comes up for me a lot. And I would like to go deeper into it. It's just been like a time thing. I haven't had this time.
Mm.
And maybe that's just an excuse, maybe it's cope. But I would like to get more into it, and I think I'm going to get more into it. It feels like it's definitely part of me.
Maybe it's a sign, bro. Like it because right now it just popped in my
It
head. I
must
didn't
be.
plan for it, you know? It
It
just
must. I was talking last night on the phone with Nick Sweeney about the same thing, about how we need to both become DJs and like host festivals and events.
that would be sick, man. Nick Sweeney,
And
he's killing
you
it
know
on Instagram.
Soulbra? He is. Nick
Yeah.
is killing it. Yeah, he's such a funny guy too. I bet you he would maybe want to do a podcast if you're interested. But you know Soulbra too?
Is that his brother? Like, isn't Solbra his brother? Or no? No, no.
No, no, they're just
Different guy. Okay.
friends. But Soulbra is like this health
He's familiar.
influencer guy. He's really cool. I'll send you his stuff. But he is such an interesting niche of one. Like to go back to creator type of topics. Like he is this health influencer. He used to have a supplement store. He sells like organic clothes. He sells organic soap and stuff like that. He had a community around health influencers becoming creators. He used to do like one-on-one health coaching and stuff. But he puts on his YouTube, he puts DJ sets on his YouTube and his recent DJ set is so good. Like I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
send it to you, but I would recommend everybody go check it out. But I think this is the future. Like if it's in your nature to like
Yeah.
just go do anything you're curious about, that's how you become so unique and stand out because you're just putting your frequency out there in different ways.
100%, man. I've heard of Solbra. I've heard of him, but I'm definitely gonna check it out. Yeah. But speaking of that, like I'm actually also trying to do that just because before I remember before I would post like videos of me like singing. Like I would basically just post
I
whatever I
remember that.
wanted. Yeah. I would post whatever I want before because I was like, it's a personal brand, like just have fun. But then it was just that one moment where I met I don't I'm not taking away from the work of like some coaches, but one coach told me like to niche down and to like focus and to, market myself. And I mean, I found success. I think there's definitely moments where you need to lock in, and to like focus. But now I'm in the whole just exploring my thing, bro. Like, you know, just chilling, man.
So you're getting into playing music, like DJing?
DJ, not so much. I do want to try it out. I've never held the deck before, but I might get into it. I know that I'm going back into creating like guitar videos because I know you've talked about this recently, even like in Instagram, where you talked about like the throat chakra, where it's like you're like, or like you're suppressing a truth. And like for such a long time, I haven't played my guitar and haven't sang because
Mm,
I just felt like who would care? Like I had this idea where it was like, who would care? How would I close clients? All these limiting beliefs where I'm like, no, this is useless basically. It's useless for my personal brand. But then I've I remember before whenever I was stressed out and I would sing, I would have a refreshed perception or like I would have a refreshed perception of what I should do. And so I
hmm.
started doing it again. And yeah, man, it's like right now I'm also in the play, like just having fun, seeing how it goes and not thinking too seriously.
That's amazing. Yeah, I remember I'd see your videos of you singing and playing music and I was like, this is so cool. So I resonate with it for sure. And I think it does help you in business in an indirect way of being more comfortable with who you really are at your fullest expression.
Mm,
Because yeah, it might not be a direct post that leads to a click, that leads to a CTA or whatever, but by you putting your fullest voice out there, you then get on a call with somebody, your throat chakra is going to be way more open. You're going to be way more able to express all of yourself to that potential client or lead or on a podcast or whatever it is because you're allowing yourself to do what you want.
interesting. Actually, like even this conversation that we're having right now, like before, for the longest time, I used to really script that. Like, man, I used to really script down my podcast. Like, really, like, oh my God, this is a good angle. Like, people want to talk about this. This is gonna go viral. But now I'm just like looking at the words that you're saying, and listening to what you're saying, and just basically bouncing off ideas on what pops in my head as well, which is cool.
Yeah, and that's how like you play music, that's how you play sports. It's like you're just in the flow. Like you're not planning anything. It's just
Mm.
happening. I don't know what I'm going to say next. It's just popping out of my mouth. And that's the same way I love to do podcasts too. And you're actually kind of inspiring me to get back into the podcast game a little bit. I posted one a few weeks ago, but I haven't been consistent. But there's some
Yeah,
people that I think I might want to rip some podcasts with. So this is reminding me that it's just fun because also I create this mental illusion that like, oh, it's going to be so much work and like I have to set it up and like I'm going to like, but it's not really true. It's like you just have to hop on the recording and then speak.
100%. That's how Joe Rogan does it. And I remember his podcast you mentioned earlier, his podcast with Naval. They were like talking about how Naval was thinking of like what he was gonna say. And then Joe Rogan was like, "You're prepared for this? Don't prepare for this." I'm like, "Whoa!" Like no one prepares for this podcast. I'm like, I want to do that. Just
Yeah.
hop in there and talk.
And I think that's why so many people resonate with Joe Rogan, and I think that's why he's so good at what he does,
Mm,
is because he trusts himself fully
mm,
to show up at the conversation with whoever it is. And the other thing about Rogan, he doesn't put anybody on a pedestal.
mm.
Like he'll be in the room with Donald Trump or he'll be in the room with Naval or whoever it is, and he's just gonna be himself and he's just gonna approach it with curiosity. Like there's no pedestals.
Interesting. I've just written something about that as well recently, like how you don't want to put anyone in a pedestal. Because I've been into the whole mentorship thing, and I really put a lot of people in like untouchable moments, and it filled me so much with anxiety because I felt like they were judging me for some reason. Like honestly, like putting someone in the pedestal made me perform worse rather than
Mm,
inspire me because I felt like if like I was failing them. I don't even know. Like they don't even know me. You know, like these guys who I put in a pedestal, they don't even know me, but I felt like I was failing them.
mm. It's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think whenever we put somebody on a pedestal, we are subconsciously putting ourselves down, right? To look up to somebody else, I have to be down here.
So how do you like try to have you ever had that moment and how did you like get over it?
Yeah, I think it's funny enough. It's like, can you imagine every single person you're looking up to or pedestalizing as a child?
Mm,
Like, I've written a lot about this, and there's a lot of deeper writings that I have not put in out yet. They're in books that are brewing that are gonna be coming out hopefully like the next 5 or 10 years. I don't know. But it's like, can you look at the guy with a million followers or with tattoos or with a beard and all this stuff, and can you see that there's a 5-year-old kid in there? Same with a
mm.
hot girl. It's like, can you see the little girl within this hot girl who's now like 25 years old? So I think that's a big thing. And then also, so seeing them as a kid, but then also actually seeing them like as a spirit beneath their personality,
Mm,
seeing them as just like this pure being.
right. Very interesting. I had that I had that moment when I with my mother because you know like natural as it is we put our parents in a pedestal because you know they're our guardians, they provide for us, they protect us, and used like she did something to me that I thought was unforgivable. Basically she changed my identity because I was an accident child. I used to hate her for it, but how I forgave her was just to see her as human instead of
Mm.
thinking of her as my mother, which is my guardian, person who should protect. Because you know, I expected her to be perfect, like the perfect mother. That's how my brain was. But then when I thought about it, I was like, she's just a person, and she's living life the first time as well, and she's just figuring things out as well. I became more gentle with the judgment.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And that's really powerful to be able to have the humility and maturity to say that.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So, you are going to be, I mentioned earlier, you were going to be launching the Transcendent Spirit. Tell me more about it, man.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to make it less esoteric for people. It's the Transcendent Sprint. It's not necessarily a super spiritual program, although everything is spiritual, honestly, in nature. And there is a layer of spirituality in this. But the Sprint is essentially a 30-day identity transformation cohort. And so what you're going to do is you're going to get into this community and there's going to be challenges, there's going to be calls, there's going to be daily accountability. You're going to set your own challenges, and then there's going to be a curriculum for you to follow along with about how do you change your actions at the identity level to become the next version of who you want to be? Because everything you do in life stems from the level of identity, how you see yourself. But with your imagination, you can begin to change that identity. And as a byproduct, you change your default actions to that which only serves you. So the idea is that our aim is that you improve by 4% every day. That's it. Just a little bit of a gain every day. You're focused on your growth and development. And if you improve by 4% every day for 30 days, it's a 3.25x increase in whatever area of life you're trying to increase. And we're focused on holistic personal development. And so, yeah, essentially 30-day personal development sprint. Like if you want to unlock the next version of yourself, this is the program.
Cool, man. Do you have anything you want to share? Like maybe the planning next retreat book?
Yeah. I would say one, just follow me on social media to stay
Mm,
updated. Like Substack is probably the place where I'll really announce things.
mm,
I'll announce things everywhere as well, like Instagram, Substack, and Twitter, probably my main places, and YouTube. But this Transcendence Sprint starts July 30th. And then something else to note with that is you get lifetime access to Sovereign Creators. If you're not interested in the Transcendent Sprint, you can just join Sovereign Creators. for a one-time payment of $150. And then, yeah, beyond that, there's nothing immediately planned, but there's going to be retreats happening in 2026. Follow me, yeah, just follow me probably on whatever social media you use. Jack Moses Zero is my handle everywhere, and I'll be updating different things.
We'll link that in the description below as well. Yeah, man.
Thank you.
Thank you for hopping in. Thank you for the great conversation. And I hope you do well with your football games, brother.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you for having me. This is always fun, and I feel higher energy leaving the conversation than I did entering. So that's always a good sign that something was deeply in alignment. So thank you for having me. I think you're an incredible podcast host too. So yeah,
Thank you, man.
I'm excited to keep following it, and maybe we'll do another episode. Who knows? Maybe
Yeah,
a
man.
few months, a year, whenever.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, I'll see you around and cheers.
Peace. Thank you.